So if you think about it this way, if we IPO and the items that I put together for collectible, now if you're an avid fan of Emmitt Smith and you want to collect some of my merchandise, here's a way for you to be part owner in this particular package that we put together. I got a Jim Thorpe jersey. I got a Jim Thorpe trophy. Got a couple other jerseys that's tied to it that are actually game-worn jerseys and stuff like that. And so the package itself is what people will be buying the fractional ownership of.
So back up for a second, Emmitt, and help our listeners understand what the Jim Thorpe trophy actually is and what it stands for.
Jim Thorpe was one of the legendary football players back in the day when they did not have the face mask, and he was, you can call him a Native American if you want to call him that. But he was a heck of a football player, and the trophy was given out to the most valuable football player of that particular year. And I was MVP, and I'm going to get the year wrong because I do it in football terms. The year I had one of my successful years was like 1990. It was the second Super Bowl that we had. And so that would have been 93, 94 season, something like that.
That's right.
And so I was MVP that year, and I got the Jim Thorpe Award because I was the league MVP. I was the Super Bowl MVP, and I may have been AP MVP as well. And so I got 2 trophies. 2 Jim Thorpe trophies.
That's pretty significant. Was Jim Thorpe somebody that, of course, he was way before our time?
Yes.
But one of the guys that you kind of looked up to as an athlete and wanted to say, emulate?
Really. No. Not really, because I never really got a chance to see him play outside of old footage.
Yeah.
And he was, like you said, he was way before our time. Yeah. And he was at a time when they didn't have face masks, even though
leather helmets.
Leather helmets. You had the single bar.
Yeah.
But he was before our time.
So who was the guy that you said, was it a Walter Payton, or was it, who was it that you kind of said, I mean, we got to go back to Scampia. We got to go back to Pensacola where you absolutely, Emmitt, where you balled. I mean, over 8,000, second most rushing yards in high school history in the United States of America. All right. Wrap your heads around that.
Well, that was at that time. I think now that record has been broken. Some other guys have come out. I think Derrick Henry may be ahead of me now.
But regardless, that's fine, and my records get broken. But I think it's significant to mention that you rattled off some unbelievable numbers in high school. Back then, who was one of your greatest influences as far as playing in high school and trying to get next level?
Walter Payton, Dorsett, and Jim Brown were the guys. They were the guys that I looked at and admired the most. And when I got to high school, obviously Payton was the big one. Then I started looking at guys like Bo Jackson, Herschel Walker, Marcus Allen, Eric Dickerson. Those are my 4 top college guys that I truly wanted to emulate and be like. But Payton was always that professional guy that I looked out into the future for.
What are the qualities that Payton had and that these guys that you just mentioned, what qualities do they have that you wanted to take with you in your luggage and try to replicate and try to make it better? I mean, right. Whether it's, this can be a physical style, right. This can be a mental makeup, this can be a toughness, a wisdom, anything.
Well, there's 2 parts of this. I would say there's the on the field part, and then there's this off the field part. And on the field, you mentioned some of the attributes, toughness, durability, vision, all-around football player. There are players, and then there are football players. And I put Walter in that in that category of football players. See, some players just play the game and they're good, But then you have players that extend the game and become football players. You can have a track guy that's fast and run a 4.2, but he's not a football player. He's a player, just not a football player. And so I look at guys like Walter Payton, and I saw the attributes that he had, the toughness, the work ethic, the joy of playing the game, the mentality of becoming a professional athlete and taking care of his body and doing the things to help his teammates win, being a team player, having fun within the game, joking around with the referees.
Oh, yes.
Enjoying the game from sideline to sideline, from goal line to goal line, from stand to stand, and giving his all every single play. That's on the field, and that's what I saw in Marcus Allen. That's what I saw in Eric Dickerson. That's what I saw in Jim Brown. That's what I saw in other players. Off the field, understanding that the game itself is only so long, and we have to not only pay it forward but also pay it backwards. And seeing what Peyton was able to do in terms of influencing young men and women through the way he carried himself. The way he conducted business, thinking about becoming a professional, and those kind of things. Another person that I give credit to wasn't a running back, definitely was a quarterback, and that was Roger Staubach. Seeing these guys and how they carried themselves off the field and the respect that they gained in the community by the things that they contributed to the community, charitable-wise as well as business-wise and leadership-wise. Those are things and the qualities that I gravitated to, because to me, the game is a great game. But what's beyond the game is up to us to capture, cultivate, and grow ourselves.
That is so true. There's so much wisdom in what you're saying. Walter Payton, to me, was a second effort guy. When you thought he was stopped, he gave you 5 more yards.
Yes.
I felt that about you, Emmitt, that you were the best second effort running back that we have ever seen, because when you were clearly stopped, when the audience thought you were stopped, you gave us another 5 yards. Is that accurate? You've been compared to Barry Sanders a little bit too.
Right.
And that's not all bad.
No, that's not all bad at all. I look at it this way, Mort. My job, and I learned a long time ago, is to avoid contact at all costs.
But you're a running back, Emmitt.
Yeah, I know, but that's my job, is to make a miss. And they don't have to hit you, and you don't have to allow them to hit you. So the best way to get around a person is to figure out how to leverage your skill set and to utilize your leverage to your advantage. And being 5'9.5", not being too big, not being too tall or being too fast, I was able to utilize my leverage to my advantage.
Can we talk about that a little bit, because you had a fantastic offensive line with the Dallas Cowboys when you guys had your run in the 90s and 3 Super Bowls. And I talked to Michael Irvin. He felt you should have won 5, but that's for another time. That's the playmaker for you. He's beautiful. But take me inside the run, and you're behind these big guys. And like you just alluded to, you're not the biggest guy.
Right.
It is part of the strategy and the leverage you talk about. Is it about hiding for a while and then popping?
No, it's not necessarily hiding.
You know what I'm saying, though.
But yes, I can get small behind big butts that I played in front of.
That's right.
Behind them. I had big guys. And so when you blink, you actually lose sight. And if I'm hiding or being shielded by a bigger guy, you cannot guess exactly where I'm going to go. So you try to anticipate. And that anticipation sometimes gets you out of position. And it affords me the ability to see everything and get my guys in the right angles and the right protections and create the right blocks and cutback angles that I needed to take advantage of.
You love that cutback.
Right. The one thing I knew and the one thing I learned, nobody knows where the ball is going to go but me. Once it's in my hands, I do whatever I want to do, as long as I stay in the confinement of what the way the play is designed. The play can be designed to go right, but now you tap into my God-given ability to be able to see the field from left to right and be able to see where guys are and to run where they're not. That's creativity. That's my artistry. That's what God has blessed me with, and that's what I took advantage of.
I love that. What was your favorite play? Was it the cutback, or was it simply, when you saw the hole, hit the hole, and go? Like, did you have a favorite when you heard it in the huddle? When Troy Aikman called this play, you go, oh, you licked your lips and go, oh yes.
There were two plays.
Let me hear them.
One of them was slant right, and the other one was lead draw right.
Take me through those two plays.
Slant right is what I almost just described, where I'm going off tackle, where they call it the stretch play right now.
Sure.
So I'm running towards my tight end and my right tackle and my left guard, and my right guard.
Yeah.
And pinning up on the defense, 4-3, 3-4, 4-3, I'm trying to move that tackle, that defensive tackle, trying to get him to move, trying to get that defensive end to stretch, trying to get that Mike backer to come over the top.
So you can go back inside.
I can go right back up inside. And I'm getting Stepnoski and I'm getting Larry Allen to tag team that backside guy, double up to that backside linebacker. That Mike is out of position. I'm right down the middle of the field.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
That's the slant. That's the slant play to the right. Now, if it doesn't happen that way, I can continue up on my path, bounce it outside, and get outside and have everybody locked inside. So me, as a runner, had a two-way go. Always had a two-way go. And in some cases, I had a three-way go. So, and then that was one of the plays. Now, the other play that I absolutely love was the lead draw right, where Daryl Johnson and I would be in an I formation, or we'd be in an offset, and we'd come together, a side shuffle step, give them time to open up, the defense the time to come in or to go outside. And Daryl and I will find our way through that to that Mike backer or to that onside backer, man on mano, and we're going downhill. And I got a two-way cut, back door, front door, or however you want to look at it.
And Dale goes to the Mike backer, and then you choose what side.
Pick and choose where I want to go. I allow my eyes to lead my feet. And as we say as running backs, slow to the hole, speed through the hole. In other words, be patient.
I love that, and I see that a lot. I saw that with Eric, too, with Eric Dickerson, where he would it almost looked like he was tiptoeing initially. And then here comes the afterburners, And
exactly.
And you can tell the moment, and I think that's with any great running back, the moment when that great running back has made up his mind, here's where I'm going.
Hey, I heard Nate Newton talk about it. Some of my offensive line tell me you could tell the difference when E. Smith was in the game and other running backs was in the game. They can get the feel of boom, something's happened. Something just went through. Something just went through. And,
yeah.
You sense it also with the guys that they're blocking. And Michael used to say this all the time. I can tell when you're coming because my cornerback eyes get big.
Oh, you're right.
It's just funny just to hear people characterize what they see, what they hear, and what they feel on the football field.
How much of that are you born with, the God-given ability, and how much is that can be learned and trained?
Well, I think a lot of it is God-given ability, but on top of God's given ability, the way that you maximize it is through training, is through teaching, some of the fundamentals. And understanding what you're doing, knowing defenses, knowing what they're designed to do, where guys are, how they're supposed to fit, knowing all those things, and then just playing a chess game, playing like a magician. I mean, it's part of your artistry. It's part of what your God-given gift is to have these instincts and to see things in real time and make decisions and make good quality decisions.
You guys had some magicians on those Super Bowl teams, and you're known as one of the triplets, of course, with Troy Aikman. You were the last player to join them, and of course, the playmaker Michael Irvin, who I had on the show a couple of weeks ago. Talk to me about those two guys. Mike, and let me preface by saying Michael shared a story with me that when you and him, you had just gotten in there. I think you were the 17th pick, maybe in the first round, and Michael had already gotten there from the U, and Troy had come in from, I guess, UCLA.
Yep.
And so you come in the year after Troy, and your roommate is Michael Irvin.
Yeah, he's my roommate on the road.
It's your room dog.
That's my road dog.
So now he says early on, Michael and you have a conversation that's quite deep and quite telling, especially now where we know where we've landed. You've landed and he's landed.
Right.
Where he says, it's different in Dallas. You got to understand. He said, I forget what he called you. Hey, little man or something.
Little E. They used to call me Little E.
We call Little E.
Yeah, because we had Big E. Big E and Little E.
Yeah. Hey, Little E, what's your goals with the Cowboys? And you, without hesitating, said to him, fill in the blank. I'll tell you what you said. You said, I'm going to be the leading rusher in the history of the game.
Yeah, I told Mike one day. That night I think we was getting ready to play the Rams, and in LA, and Mike and I was in a room, and we was just talking. He said, "Man, what you want out of this game? What you want to do?" So, Michael, I want to become the all-time leading rusher. He looked at me and he laughed in my face. He laughed. But the funny thing about it was James Washington, our defensive back, who was the safety that year, we lived in an apartment complex, and my apartment, we was right next door to each other, so he can come right over. So one night, before the season even got started, and I haven't even gone to training camp yet, Mort, and I'm sitting at my kitchen table, and I got papers all over the desk. I'm paying bills, and I'm writing down my goals. And James come over, so I let him come on in. He comes over, sit down. He asks what's going on, what I'm doing, and I'm sitting. And I try to hide my goals because I'm 20 years old, feel a little bit embarrassed writing down goals because I'm talking to grown men. He said, "Let me see what you got." So he sees my paper. He sees my goal list. He doesn't say nothing. He said, "Okay." He says, "Good that you're writing down your goals," and that was it. He walked out. Years later, he told me, he said, I knew something was going to be special with you because of what you just did. He said, because I never saw too many people do things like that. And to see the list that you was mounting up, I knew it was you had to have a focus and a commitment. But then once I saw you starting to play, even though he played against me in college, but once I saw you play at the pro level, I was like, yeah, this dude is on his way. And so years later, Michael remembered it as if it was just yesterday.
Yes, he does.
It's like this man wrote down the things that he wanted to do. This man told me he saw this and wanted to do this, and I didn't join at that time. And now years later, look at it. This guy sees things that he talks about it as if it's going to happen. And Lord knows it ends up happening. And that's a beautiful thing to know that your teammates see things and saw things in you, and they believed in you because of things that you talked about, things that you dreamed about, became your reality.
Yeah, Emmitt. I talk a lot to young people about the road to success is always under construction. And the road will take you anywhere if you don't have one thing: goals. Goals are like signs, directional signs that will point the way to where you want to go. And that's success. Success is a process.
Yes, it is.
I get a feeling that you're a process oriented guy. You want the results, but you also realize if the process is not great, the results won't be.
Yes.
And do you remember, besides writing down a goal that you want to be the leading rusher in the history of the game, do you remember some of the other goals you wrote down that day?
Yes,
And
I do.
can you share a couple?
Oh, without a doubt. My number one goal was keeping Jesus Christ number one in my life. That's the number one goal that I had.
Amen.
Everything else began with team goals, what I wanted to see the team do. I wanted to see the team. Obviously, when I came to the Cowboys the year before, we was 1-15. I did not want to see 1-15 again.
No, neither did Michael, I can tell you.
Yeah. So my team goals were to win the NFC, go to the playoff, win the NFC Championship game, go to the Super Bowl. Not just one time. I wanted to win as many Super Bowls as I possibly could. I wanted to become an All-Pro. I wanted to become a MVP. I wanted to become a Pro Bowler. Those are the team things that I wanted to do, and personal goals. I just mentioned some of those, but I wanted to become the all-time leading rusher. I wanted to lead the league in rushing. I wanted to do all these things. And one of the goals that I never achieved, I was fighting for it. I wanted to rush for 2,000 yards in the season. The most I ever gotten in the season was 1776.
Yes.
But I'm thankful that I didn't get to 2,000 because I believe the 2,000 would have took something from me. And I think the ultimate goal was to get there, not trying to get there in a hurry, but to be consistent over a period of time. I wanted to play 13 years in the National Football League. That was a goal. I played 15. I never thought about being a Hall of Famer, but that ended up being a goal too. Because I felt like if I did all these other things more, it was going to take all the other stuff was going to take care of itself.
Are you telling me that you thought that rushing for over 2,000 yards would make you complacent?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying every back that I seen go over 2,000, after that, it was all downhill.
Well, it's pretty hard to repeat.
My point. It's hard to repeat, but rushing for 2,000 takes something out of you. I mean, even rushing for 1,700 can take a lot out of you.
Oh, there's no doubt. So back, let me put a bow on the goal setting here. Did you ever write specific process-oriented goals like limit fumbles? Because let's face it, turnovers will kill a team quicker than anybody.
Yes.
Was there any like in-game, everyday goals that you had that were more relatable to your craft? Not so much being the greatest, all-pro and all that, but more about the craft.
Yeah, I wanted to catch 60 passes. I wanted to catch 60 passes, if not more, a year. I wanted to lead the team in every category you can possibly imagine. And I set them out there for me to not only recognize that they were achievable, but I had an opportunity to get them. Now, I knew Michael was going to catch more passes, but at the end of the day, when I looked at it, I broke it all the way down into categories and said I wanted to lead all backs in the National Football League in these categories. Touchdowns. Yeah. Points. I had to contend with you guys for points. But
well, you are one of two guys that got over non-kickers. You and Jerry Rice have over 1,000 points. So congratulations. We cheated a little bit. We got 3 points every time, and it was just clipping away. So listen, I say mission accomplished, Emmitt. Let me talk about real quick in Florida. And you had a nice 3 years in Florida, and your fourth year you decide to forego.
Yeah.
Was the reason you decided to forego it is you felt you were ready for the NFL, or was it Steve Spurrier?
It had nothing. It wasn't the fact that Steve Spurrier was coming in. I think Steve Spurrier was a brilliant coach. It was the simple fact that I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what do I mean by that? I mean, 3 years in a row, I had learned 3 different offenses as a freshman, a sophomore, and a junior. So I never really had a chance to grow into an offense and really, or the team had a chance to grow into an offense and become a very good offensive unit. So here I am going into my senior year, and Steve Spurrier's coming in. Now I got to learn a brand new offense again going into my senior year. And the question becomes, do I fit? How do I fit? And will I be as productive in this new offense as I have been over the last 3 years? Quite naturally, somebody would say, yes, you would be. But then you tack on this other element called injury factors. And will my value be as good later versus now? And then you start asking yourself, what else can I do at this university? I've given it all that I have. At that time, as a junior, I had held 58 school records. What else was left for me to do? And so at the time, I just said, you know what? I don't want to learn a brand new offense. If I am, I'm going to learn it at the next level. I don't want to run the risk of going out here playing in games and getting hurt and lose out on my opportunity to go to the next level.
Yeah.
So for me, I made what I thought was a great business decision. And it was hurtful because I did not want to leave my teammates. I did not want to leave my freshman class that I came in with. But even my teammates were saying, dude, you have to go to the next level.
Yeah.
It's time. One of my coaches, after the bowl game, we playing Washington out in Anaheim, and we're getting beat. And early in the game, he said, listen, I'm pulling you out. There's nothing else you can do for us. Get ready to go to the next level. And when a coach tells you that,
yeah,
he's taking care of you. And so I took all those things under consideration, and it still boiled down to the simple fact that I did not want to run the risk. And I had walked off the football field at that time about as healthy as I could possibly be, as productive as I was, in the 3 years that I was at the University of Florida. So I was like, okay, it's time for me to go to the next level.
Yeah, and you had a great run in Florida. You're in their Ring of Honor. You've accomplished everything you could at the college level, and you go to Dallas. Did you ever have a conversation with Troy Aikman and Michael, you 3 guys, early on, where you sat and said, here's where we want to go? Or,
I don't recall us actually sitting down and having a conversation saying, here's where we want to go, because my rookie year, Troy's second year in the league, was somewhat, I ain't gonna say confrontational, not between Troy and myself, but there was this lingering competition over Troy's head, and there was this perception that who was going to be the quarterback, whether Steve Walsh or Troy Aikman.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was going to be Troy Aikman. I felt like it was going to be Troy Aikman, and we was in an offensive system that really wasn't as productive as it could have been for either one of us. So we really weren't that good. So then after my rookie year, they fired offensive coordinator, and I'll never forget Jimmy Johnson coming up to me and saying, we're going to bring somebody in that can get you the football. I was like, okay. And North Turner comes in. And North Turner comes in with this Eric Dickerson offense and the Rams offense and this Eric Coryell offense, which is an offense that was very similar to what I ran in high school. The exact same numbering system. And North said, it's only 2 things you need to know. Check swing. Check swing right, check swing left. That's all you're going to do is check swing, and then we'll add in all the other pass routes after that. Outside of that, we're going to get you the football. And then with the number system, Troy and his timing and his accuracy, you could see things starting to develop. And that first year in North system, we went 11-5.
Yes, you did.
And Michael had a successful year. Troy had a successful year. I had a successful year. The team had a successful year. We got into the playoff for the very first time. Then I think we all knew we had the potential to be good. We didn't know how good we would become, but we knew that the following year we was going to be much better because we would have had 2 years in an offense. And to have that kind of productivity that quickly said a lot.
Any of those Super Bowls, and you won 3, you were clearly the team of the decade. Any of those Super Bowls sweeter than the other?
You know, I would say the very first Super Bowl is the sweetest one of all.
Everybody says that.
Because there's no experience like the very first. Period. The excitement, the anxiety, the anticipation, the joy, the thrill of making it there. And for me, Mort, I had a surreal experience at my very first Super Bowl.
Tell me.
Because, mind you, my first Super Bowl was 93. In 87, I'm a senior in high school. And I'm sitting in the stands of the Rose Bowl because I was Gatorade National Football Player of the Year. My best friend, Johnny Nichols, and I are sitting in the Rose Bowl watching the Giants play the Denver Broncos. And I turned to Johnny, I said, man, one of these days I want to play in the Super Bowl and I want to play in this stadium. God's truth. Because I'm all hyped up because I'm at a Super Bowl. Johnny and I get on the plane, we come back home, and we go to the University of Florida together. Now, 6 years later, 1993-94, or 92-93 season, we're playing the Buffalo Bills in the Rose Bowl, and Johnny Nichols is sitting up there watching me in the Super Bowl. And there's nothing more sweeter than that. My parents are there. They all are there celebrating and enjoying the moment with us. Now, not knowing if we're going to win or lose, but Buffalo made it so damn easy. In the first half, we had already put the game away. And I got a chance to celebrate it not only with my family, but my high school coach, my best friend. And that was the last time the Super Bowl was played in the Rose Bowl.
Emmitt, I'm going to tell you a story now that's going to be it's going to make this full circle, what you just said. I was at the Rose Bowl for that game, for the Super Bowl, okay? I knew the equipment manager, I knew the groundskeeper, superintendent for the Kansas City Chiefs, who does the Super Bowl fields and the Pro Bowl fields.
Right.
Forget his name, Toomey, something.
Toomey.
Toomey.
Yeah.
Toomey hands me at the Pro Bowl. We're at the Pro Bowl, by the way, Emmitt, the following week. Toomey hands me one of the pylons from the goal line from the Rose Bowl from your game. And I walk up to you and Troy at the Pro Bowl, and you both sign it. And that pylon from that game is sitting in my bar in my basement.
Yes.
Come on, man.
That was the last time a Super Bowl was played in that stadium. And that's the last time a Super Bowl pylon was made for that stadium that has the Rose Bowl emblems all over it, probably.
I have one of those from the goal line. And I know you and Troy wouldn't remember signing it, but I brought this orange pylon with me to Hawaii. And you guys signed it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Hey, let me throw a couple of quick hitters before I let you go, man. I know you got to run. Couple quick hitters, kind of current events. Let's talk about the Gators. How far away are we from Florida having a legit shot to win the SEC?
Oh, man, to be honest with you, I think our defense definitely needs to improve.
Yeah.
It's not an offensive issue. It has been a defensive issue. Our defense, the problem that I'm having with football today is it's been watered down and guys are getting away with mediocrity. Kids don't know how to tackle. They don't know how to work. And the whole entire country has become ultra sensitive.
Yes.
Ultra sensitive. And the whole entire country has accepted mediocrity. no one really is striving to create the best in class standards for one another, to challenge each other to become the very best that we can possibly become. When we challenge people these days, they all get offended because they've been challenged. They all think that someone is infringing upon their rights. Yet they want what the next person has, but they're not willing to go through what that person went through to get it. People are looking for shortcuts. And so when I look at our defense down at the University of Florida, I see guys that are very sizable, talented, but have a work ethic like a child, a mentality like a very immature person, which they are young kids, and you expect them to be somewhat immature. But you want them to grow into a level of maturity, like a Jalen Hurst, for example. The way he handled himself at Alabama when Tua came in and all those kind of things, he handled himself like a true professional. I appreciate so much when you see kids like that. And they don't bicker. They go about their business. They handle it. They still become leaders. And then he makes a decision afterwards to transfer for his best interest to Oklahoma. And it worked out perfectly. And so I think in order for the University of Florida to really get to where we want to go, we have to build that mental toughness with our front five offensively and our front seven defensively in order to compete and contend with the Alabamas of the world. And until that happens, I don't know when we will win another SEC championship game. We will be competitive, but will we be dominant? Will we go and play the University of Oklahoma in spite of not having our four players?
Right.
We are the University of Florida, where all the great athletes come from the state of Florida. I hate to say it that way. But when I look at it, I say we are the University of Florida, and we get quality players coming in. Can we mentally tap into these young kids and draw the best out of them? And it requires coaching to do that. And it requires players to be willing to be challenged, to be pushed, but to be respected.
It resonates with me so much what you just said about today's young man, young player versus, and I hate to use the word old school, but, you know, old school is a good school. I feel this is missing with the Cowboys of today too. Talk to me about. I know it's disappointing. I had a disappointing year, and have we seen the best of Zeke Elliott?
I don't think you have. I think with Ezekiel Elliott, many people forget that Zeke had COVID-19 before the season even got started, and no one knows what COVID-19 will do to your body until you go through it. If you look at his body and his play in the first 5-6 weeks of the season, his body structure, his weight look a little bit different than the latter part of the season.
You're right.
Just look at it physically. Just look at him. He looks a lot leaner in the latter part of the season than he did in the first part of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the first part of the season, obviously he had some fumbling issues.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they get paid on the other side of the ball like we do, not to make any excuses, but I do believe that Zeke will be better for what he had gone through this year. And he will prepare differently and probably start to take care of himself differently for what he has gone through this year. And I think with Tony Pollard, there's a great 1-2 punch. Now, the Cowboys themselves, we have the same challenge that the University of Florida has. Defense. We couldn't stop a soul. We couldn't get off the field on third down. And I understand early in the season when we turned the ball over, the defense was out there quite a bit. And I understand that piece. But still, our defense was so much more solid last year. And I think that's a product of the defensive change versus the players. I think you got players that's not suited quite nicely for this style of defense. And so when you bring in new coordinators, do your players actually fit your style? And do your players actually understand your style and understand your defense totally? And are they doing, or do they have the discipline to make the fits work? Or are they playing, or are they creating more issues? And I saw our defense create more issues, running out of zones and creating bigger zones for guys to run the ball with. That's a problem. And that has to get corrected this offseason.
But
I don't think we're far away from becoming a very, very good team, though. I really don't.
Is Mike McCarthy the right guy to lead that team?
I think this year was an experimental year for Mike McCarthy to see exactly what he had, coaching style, defensive-wise, player personnel-wise, and all those kind of things, including coordinator-wise. And I think if he wants to right this ship, he better make some significant adjustments this offseason.
And you're saying mostly on defense, and
I think it begins with the draft, drafting defensive players. Because think about it, Sean Lee is getting a little long in the tooth. No disrespect to Sean Lee, he's going to give us his best effort. Leighton Vander Esch obviously has sustained a number of injuries over the last 2 years. Don't know how long and productive he will be. Jalen Smith is going to give us his all. These guys, they're going to fight. They're going to do what they got to do. But you got to bring in some guys to replace and back these guys up.
Mm-hmm.
You just cannot depend upon them all season long.
You know, we talked about old school. Is Derrick Henry, and he reminds me about an old school running back. Is he the best running back in the NFL?
Today he is. Anytime you go for 2,000 yards and you lead the league in rushing 2 years in a row, you're putting your stamp on what you own and what you possess.
What would you tell Derrick Henry, because he's still young?
Right.
And listen, the name of the game is to have some sustained excellence throughout years, and that gets you to Canton, Ohio.
Right.
What would you tell Derrick Henry?
I would tell Derrick Henry, while he's still playing right now, take care of your body. Take care of your body. Make sure you're getting your massages twice a week. I recommend you get a massage on a Monday after the game and a Friday before the weekend becomes. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water and hydrating. I know the Tennessee Titans are on this vegan diet, so that's a good thing. What you put in your body is a good thing. And so that part, all that's good. Get your proper rest. Now, once the season is over, make sure you get you some rest as well. And then don't rest long. I mean, rest two weeks or something like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And then make sure that you're doing some hot yoga, some things, some light things that not so taxing and draining on your body physically, but is giving you the foundation that you need to continue to build upon these building blocks that you've already established. Find you a good chiropractor to make sure that your body is aligned and functioning properly. If you don't have one, call me. I got one for you.
Emmitt, last question for you. And I appreciate your wisdom. And one of the things I want to tell you this while I have you face to face. One of the things I've always admired about you is your honesty, and you've always been a joy to be with. I treasure my friendship and my time with you. I really do. I love your Christian attitude, and I love your honesty and transparency. You always, and I love the way you've been able to take your game from the field to the business to the boardroom. Done a great job. And you should be looked upon as one of the guys, a success story, obviously, but also one of the guys that people can lean on, just like you leaned on Roger Staubach.
Right. And that's what I'm telling Derrick Henry. Lean on me. I'll tell Zeke, lean on me. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So finally, just tell me about Roger Staubach and his relationship, your relationship. I know you're in real estate business with Roger. I assume you're still doing that. But anyway, you got going. Roger said, "You want to learn my business? Come to my business," and you did, and you did in the off season.
Yes, I did.
Not only did you go back to Florida and graduate after you had started playing, you went to Roger and you were there in his office, and you saw how it's done at the highest level. Talk to me about Roger Staubach and what he means to you.
Roger Staubach is an incredible, 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 incredible human being. You know his background, Naval Academy, and everything else. So he understands how things should function and people should interact with one another. He understands that young people like myself and many others need mentors and guidance in areas that they can actually download wisdom and transfer knowledge to. Roger opened up the door for me to come into the real estate business. He wanted to make sure that not only did I do it the right way, but also I learned some of the things that they were doing. And he felt like I could be better in this business and do exactly like he's done, but take it to another level. And that has been a goal of mine. And so the key to that success is obviously surrounding yourself with quality people to help you to buy into your vision, not their vision, but your vision. They can have a vision for your company and your visions can collide as long as it does not prohibit or interfere or supersede. Even if your vision is great. But some people try to get in these relationships with brands like ours to make themselves great.
No, boy.
That doesn't work.
No.
That just doesn't work. And with Roger brought me in to learn, to teach me, and to be around and to hear what was going on, to see what was going on, to get involved with what was going on. And he did, and I did that for 2.5 years with him. And then when he got ready to sell his company, I chose to go in a separate direction. And so he sold his company to Jones Lang LaSalle for an incredible amount of money. And so I know it's possible. And the one thing I do know and I appreciate about Roger is a service heart of a person.
Yes.
Has a servant heart. And that's what we do. We're in the business to service clients that we work with. Even when we was playing football, Morten, we were in the business of servicing the fans that paid their hard-earned dollars to come watch us play. Not watch us be mediocre. Not watch us walk around and brag about us making plays. Not watch us walk around and do stupid stuff. They came there to watch a professional football player that has tremendous talent to inspire a country, a city, a state, a community, a world. That's what they came to see. They didn't pay money to come see you act like a damn fool. They came to see top-notch performance. And that's what Roger brings to the table. And that's what I've learned. And I try to infuse those things into who I am and to provide that same service to the clients that I work with.
All great things, Emmitt Smith, comes or starts with a vision. You had a vision in Pensacola, at Escambia, through Florida, to Dallas, and to Canton, Ohio, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The greatest vision to become the greatest running back in the history of the game. And that, my friend, is without discussion. I appreciate your time today, brother.
Thank you, man. Love you. Be good.
I love you, and I hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir.